A Search in Vedic India, Chapter 19, Reincarnation. Vimala noticed that Albert did not discuss death or reincarnation after returning to the guest house. She thought that he must have found the truth behind them. That night and the next day, she found that Albert was busy listening to the lectures on Ashtavakra Gita and the related commentary. She went to Swami alone. Swami will come shortly. Please be seated, said Krishnaya Garu and went inside. She sat in the mandapam and started to draw pencil sketches of the surroundings. Though started as a hobby, she developed expertise in pencil drawings. She already drew many sketches depicting scenarios like Swami talking to Krishnaya in the mandapam, Albert sitting on the Godavari band, etc. But she did not show any of them to Albert to surprise him someday. Swami was surprised to see only Vimala, and after she informed him that Albert was busy with Ashtavakra Gita, he felt happy. Ashtavakra Gita is a dialogue between two realized persons. It could be easily followed by one who recognized Swarupam, remarked Swami. Meanwhile, Krishnaya Garu came and was accompanied by a middle-aged gentleman. Please come, Mr. Bhaskar Rao, said Swami, welcoming the new gentleman. Swami introduced him to Vimala and said that he was a big farmer in Kaleshwaram, helping Swami in organic agriculture. He further informed her that Mr. Bhaskar Rao arranges spiritual programs in the local Shiva temple. He lost his wife 2 years back, and his wife used to worship goddess Lalita, reciting her 1,000 names daily. Swami introduced Vimala to Bhaskar Rao and briefed her about the visit. Seems like you are discussing something with her. I will come later, said Bhaskar Rao, getting up to leave. Daily she comes with her friend Albert. Today she came alone. We are not discussing anything in particular. We can discuss whatever is on your mind, said Swami, making Bhaskar Rao comfortable. Yesterday night, Janaki appeared in my dream. She was sitting before Lalita and reciting the names. Since the morning, I have been plagued by some doubts. I thought I would discuss them with you, said Bhaskar Rao. What are your doubts? Asked Swami. Do goddesses like Lakshmi, Saraswati, Lalita exist? Or heaven and hell there? What about reincarnations? Oh, so many questions. Let us tackle one by one. From the discussions we had earlier, one thing must have been clear to you. In the world around you, many things happen without your involvement. You cannot force them to occur as per your wishes. You perform some actions expecting a particular result, but then you do not get the expected results. Hence, you believe that the events are happening according to the wishes of a higher power. That is why you believe that there is a separate higher unknown power controlling the happenings. Isn't it so? Asked Swami. It is not just me. Many others too believe the same, is it not? Replied Bhaskar Rao. Some people believe that there is no separate power other than nature. Let us set them aside. Do you believe that there is a divine force operating the world? Asked Swami. That is why we have been worshipping God all these years, said Bhaskar Rao. If God has infinite powers, don't you think that He has also powers to assume different forms? My doubt is whether those gods are physically present in some places like Kailas or Vaikunt, asked Bhaskar Rao. We are convinced that an invisible higher force is operating. The remaining things all depend on the belief system in which one is brought up. You must analyze how you inherited those beliefs, said Swami. Are those beliefs not formed right since childhood due to family background, by the influence of people around you, by listening to the lectures on religious books in the temple premises and on TV? Said Bhaskar Rao. Whatever it may be, it is not direct understanding. It is derived from other people, lectures and videos. By the way, what do you mean by scriptures? Asked Swami. Stories from mythology and Vedic scriptures, is it not? Asked Bhaskar Rao. In Vedas, there are both religious matters and philosophical matters, said Swami. Aren't both the same? Asked Bhaskar Rao. All people are not at the same stage insofar as matters related to God. Vedas guide all people based on the stage at which they are placed. Just like a supermarket offers different qualities of rice, so people can pick according to their choice, Vedas too have Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa offers guidance on religious matters such as what actions and sacrifices ought to be performed for better incarnations or to secure a place in heaven, etc. And these are based on the belief system. Here, the individual, the world, and God are considered separate entities. On the other hand, there are Upanishads at the end of each Veda. These are called Vedanta. What Vedanta says is that all that exists is only infinite consciousness. It is also called Brahman. The differences such as the individual, the world, and God do not exist in infinite consciousness. Adi Shankara's commentary on Upanishads made the Advaita concept popular all over the world. The concepts of karma, bhakti, and yoga do not by themselves deliver liberation. Only through the path of jnana, knowledge, can one recognize Brahman and attain liberation. Lectures given by most of the speakers on public platforms are all in the domain of religion. Does it mean that there is no benefit from karma, bhakti, and yoga? Asked Bhaskar Rao. Why not? All those prepare one to take up the path of jnana or knowledge. All three are based on a belief system, while in the case of jnana or knowledge, it is not a belief but a direct understanding of truth leading to liberation. What do you say about reincarnations, Swami? Are they real? Asked Bhaskar Rao. It is real, but it is also not real, said Swami smiling. I have not understood, said Bhaskar Rao, a bit confused. First, let us try to understand the statement that it is not there. I mentioned this earlier, but I will explain it again. If one recognizes that his eye awareness is not a material and therefore has no form, a great revelation would emerge. Formless awareness is always infinite without any beginning or end. In such a scenario, there is the realization that even the present birth has not taken place at all. Then where is the question of rebirth? Explained Swami. Then what is the explanation for the statement that there is rebirth? Vimala had asked this time. This we should understand in the situation where the individual thinks that he is limited to his body only. In such a case, the individual, the world, and God are separate. In such a scenario, an individual is the total of his conditioning, that is, his awareness, all the thoughts or impressions accumulated since childhood, and also the tendencies he inherited through the genes. Now, your question is whether such an individual has a rebirth after death. Do such people have a rebirth? Asked Vimala. If we have to decide on any matter, there are two sources. One is our direct experience in the matter, and the other is an inference based on the circumstances. In the case of rebirth, it is not possible to decide direct experience. We all do not know what was our earlier birth, nor could we know what is our next, if any, said Swami. Some people were able to recall their previous birth. Some cases were reported in the press that they could recognize relations from previous birth as well, said Bhaskar Rao. We cannot come to a firm conclusion based on such incidents. We have a definition of truth. It must exist without any change at all times. If it is there at one time but not there at another time, then it is not truth. Generally, it is not our experience to recall our previous incarnations. So we can rule out direct experience as a source of understanding rebirth, said Swami. What is the other source? Asked Vimala. Suppose we have seen smoke emanating on a hill. You could infer that there must be a fire nearby. Similarly, we may infer about rebirth. We have seen many prodigies display extraordinary skills, be it in singing, painting, etc., at a very young age. A normal child can't acquire those skills at such a young age. It is as if somebody acquired these skills before they went to sleep. After waking up, they continue from where they had stopped instead of from the beginning. Similarly, the conditioning that happened up to the time of death in a body would continue in another body after death. But all this is in the state of ignorance. If a person resorts to self-enquiry and recognizes before his death the truth that his awareness is not limited to his body and therefore infinite, there is no need for another body, as all his conditioning would be nullified with the recognition of Swarupam. This is the only explanation that may sound rational to some. Some religions do not accept rebirth and they have a different belief system. No matter how many explanations are given, either for or against rebirth, they have no value till one recognizes the truth. Except satisfying some curiosity, no real purpose is served by one knowing whether there is rebirth or not. It is also not correct to assume that the fear of births in inferior bodies would prevent one from doing wrong acts. We should not forget that whatever happens in all the three states of waking, dream and sleep are nothing but an appearance of power of Brahman without actually undergoing any change in itself. This could be explained in a better way with an example. Suppose a river is flowing with a lot of inherent force. At some places, the force causes it to form a whirlpool. It remains as a whirlpool for some time, and by the operation of the same force, moves again and forms another whirlpool again down the stream. Just as water alone appears as whirlpools by its own inherent power, it is Brahman alone that appears in various forms. So, death is a comma only and not a full stop. Only recognition of Swarupam would end the cycles. So long as you believe that you are limited to the body, births and deaths appear to be true. It is like believing a rope to be a snake in the twilight, forgetting that your awareness itself is appearing as different forms in the world. You are involved in the pleasures and pains of worldly transactions. You live in the world with equanimity once you realize that the various forms appearing as the world are your awareness, just like in a dream. Only your awareness appears as a dream world. Similarly, in the waking state too, if your awareness is Chit, the world is Sat. Sat and Chit are never separate. That is why it is Advaita, not two. Bhaskara left after paying respects to Swami. Since Albert recognized the truth directly and got confirmation from scriptures as well, you can continue to discuss with him and get the guidance, said Swami to Vimala. Why could he recognize but not me? Where did the difference arise? We both got the knowledge from you at the same time, asked Vimala. That is a big question. What did we understand about the world? The Maya power of Brahman only appears as a world without actually undergoing any change. The world of Maya power has certain characteristics. In Brahman, there is no time and space. But the world of Maya power has infinite variety. Have you noticed that for all the people you see, resemblances are different, fingerprints are different, and everything in the world changes continuously? Human intellect cannot comprehend it fully. Most importantly, you cannot identify a single cause for any effect. That is why we cannot point out any specific cause for him to recognize and for you not to recognize, although both of you came here at the same time, explained Swami. So, it is not correct to assume that it was because of his efforts in the previous birth, asked Vimala. Why should we consider only one birth? What happened in his immediate previous birth must have been due to the happenings in the birth preceding to that. That way you would end up in infinity. Forget all that. You can understand this by careful observation of yourself. Any thought you get is only due to the Maya power. Do you not agree? Asked Swami. Yes, that I agree. Thoughts arise in me. I do not get them with my effort. Therein lies the answer. The thoughts that Albert got are quite different from yours. Both of you are not responsible for that, is it not? Asked Swami. Yes, I understand, said Vimala. You must also understand that it is neither Albert's achievement nor your failure. Both of you are part of the Maya power or that of Parashakti. We can also say that when grace of Parashakti only enables one to recognize Swarupam. Till such a time, you have to continue your enquiry. What is Parashakti, Swami? Asked Vimala. The infinite, inseparable power of Brahman is also called like that. It is not an anthropomorphic personality. It is the Sat aspect of Brahman, the inseparable aspect being Chit. We already understood that your I awareness is Sat Chit. Keep attention on the I awareness only, feeling its intuitive nature. You will one day recognize that it is expansive and infinite and not just limited to your body. You may take the help of Albert too when doubts arise, advised Swami. After prostrating to Swami, Vimala returned to the guest house.